Hey there, it's Tuesday morning and I was out here getting things tidied up. I'm going to spend the rest of the week making drawers for my kitchen and also making the drawer fronts to finish it off. Like more than half of them are done. I just need to get it finished up. I'm not going to make videos covering the drawer making, but I will make videos covering the drawer fronts, I think. Not videos, a video. Okay, so yeah, I was out here. I thought I would start the camera and do a little bit of talking, mostly talking about the sharpening stuff. But the first thing I want to talk about is the title of this video. Actually, I don't know if you've noticed, or if you're one of the people that it doesn't matter what you say. There's something about you and that people believe it, like unquestionably, like they have no questions, they have no doubt. Whereas other people, myself included, and this has always been a problem, people are just, their first reaction is that they don't believe you, or there's some doubt about what you're saying. Like, I don't know if there's something in my body language that's coming across, or my confidence level is not quite, like there are some people that are just completely confident in everything that they do and say, even when they're dead wrong. Okay? And so almost especially when they're dead wrong. They're very confident in what they say. Whereas other people maybe have a little bit of a doubt. Maybe that comes through. I don't know. Anyway, that's just an observation I've had, and I wanted to bring it up because I'm one of those people. People tend not to believe what I say, even though, like, you demonstrate it, like doing the sharpening thing. All right, that's what I want to talk about next. Now, I sharpened the blade. The first blade that I sharpened is the one that's currently on my miter saw. That's the DeWalt blade that I got with the DeWalt stuff that I got before. Like, this is another thing I want to talk about, but I'll do that later. Like, it cut through this oak, red oak. That was a 2¼ inches thick, about 5 inches wide, like it was cutting through butter. That blade had alternate face angles originally, and that was like a comment that came up in the older video where I used that sharpening wheel on my saw, except I was using a freehand that time. And it came up again on the video I posted yesterday about that face angle. What do you do about the face angle? Well, you can mess around tilting the blade to grind to that face bevel. But what I did with that blade, I just ground it flat because, like, I would have to say that that's the only blade that I've ever had that had a face angle on the teeth. And that'll say something, because I've had a lot of blades, man, or not like that I've noticed, and ones that I've tried to sharpen, because everything else is a flat face angle. So it makes sense that if you're going to sharpen the blade, just sharpen it that face angle flat. It's not a big deal. The face angle is like 1 or 2 degrees at most. So it doesn't take very much at all. And you could actually see it in the video if you like had it on full resolution and really look close. You can see the face angle. The main thing is that it cuts efficiently, especially when you compare it to the blade before you sharpened it, right? This is about managing expectations. You're not going to equal here in your home shop, unless you have some sort of big machinist setup, ultra accurate. You're not going to equal the results that you get from, say, a pro sharpening shop that does that stuff all the time. And even those guys are not going to equal the type of precision they get at the factory where the blade was made. So this is where you have to manage your expectations. You're not going to get it. So you're simply not going to get it. However, the difference between the level of precision that the factory has and the one that you can achieve at home with careful work is not that great. It's not a noticeable difference in how the tool operates. So that's a big thing in everything you do. in all aspects of life actually, is the ability to put things in perspective. Some things are more important than others. Some things that may seem significant are very insignificant in reality. Another thing I want to talk about briefly is, and I've mentioned this before, and I made the analogy of the football game. You know, if you're a football fan, you're watching a game, and you have somebody that knows nothing about football watching beside you, and an amazing play happens, you get all excited, you're up for it, and the other guy's just shaking his head, saying, "What's going on?" It's the, like, I showed cutting this piece of oak yesterday. Now, this is 2¼ inches thick, ripped on my fairly low-powered saw over there with a 10-inch blade. That's a full 1/8 of an inch curve. And it whipped through it, no problem whatsoever, and left a nice, clean surface here without any burn marks, okay? And that, like, you need to have cut oak on an underpowered saw before this thickness of oak to understand like what that is, because I don't think that a lot of people recognize that. It's the same thing went for my quick release vise, the short video I made on that. Like a lot of people can see what it does, but they don't recognize that there's something different that they're watching here. They know how vise work, they've seen vices before, but that particular mechanism for quick release, that just went over their head, right? They didn't see anything special about that. I'm gonna end this one off with a demonstration on sharpening to make something useful that's no longer useful. Very much like the saw blades. You know, taking a saw blade that's really dull, you got your choices, okay? You can send it out and have it sharpened professionally, wait for it, pay for it, you know, go and pick it up, come back, and all that stuff involved with that. Or you can just set it to one side, pretend it doesn't exist anymore, and go buy a fresh blade, which is probably a good option if you have like a production shop. Right? If you're pumping out furniture, you haven't got time to mess around with stuff like that. Save up a big stack of blades, bring them to the sharpening place all at once, you know, get them all sharpened, have them back, and then, you know, at least you're going to get some use out of those blades after that. Although you won't get the same amount of use, you never will, out of a sharpened blade, and then you will out of one that's brand new. That's where managing expectation comes in. All right, so I'm going to make an example of the drill bit here. For a very long time, I was installing doors and hardware, and that involves drilling a lot of holes, all right? Especially into frames like door frames, steel door frames, that are filled with either concrete or mortar. Now, you can well imagine that concrete and mortar are not very friendly to the cutting edge on your drill bit. So you would have to either have a box full of the same drill bit, or what I started using was self-drilling screws. However, you can't always find the correct size, so you have to tap a hole. You need the correct size hole there. You need to use a drill bit. So I learned very quickly to sharpen drill bits, not to bring them back to factory performance, but to get them very close. Sometimes they even cut even faster, but that means I was having the angle changed so that it would wear out faster. So that's a little bit of a trade-off there, right? You got a steeper angle, cuts faster, but it wears out quicker. A flatter angle, cuts less quick, but it lasts longer. So I've got a drill bit here that looks like it's pretty dull, and I've got a piece of steel, and I'm just gonna try to drill into it. Okay, drill through, no problem. Looks like it's damaged, but I think I can improve it. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to use my angle grinder with no guard, with a zip cut blade on there. There are better blades. A grinding disc, especially a finer one, would work better. But this is what I had because I would be cutting things, you know, handy. And I would take the drill bit after it got dull and touch it up on the grinder, okay? So turn that on. And the way I do it, and I actually made a video. That nobody watched quite a number of years ago showing this. I think this is the same grinder actually. And I take the drill bit and I just eyeball the angle. I put it on there, see how it's grinding, and then I roll it back slightly while it's touching. And then I rotate it, eyeball the angle, touch it, and roll it back. All right, and I'm going to do that right now. And then I can hold it up and I can see that the angle is correct, or as close to correct as it needs to be to drill. So let's see how it drills now. Okay. Now that looked like it was the factory edge on there. It was a little bit rough, but it hadn't been sharpened before this. So. Significantly quicker. Okay, nice curly shavings, not little chips that were coming off it before. So that means it's cutting more efficiently. So that's an example of how you take something, like it would have been better if this didn't drill at all, okay, right? And you take it from death back to life, but it gives you an example of what you can do when you can manage your expectations. You're not looking for perfection here. You're just looking to get some use out of something that's no longer usable.